The envelope sat on my kitchen counter for 3 days before I opened it. Inside was a number, 0%. Probability of paternity, 0%. Emma wasn't mine, but let me back up. Because you need to understand how I got to that envelope. You need to see what I saw. It starts with a drawing. Emma's 6 years old, kindergarten. She comes home every Tuesday with art projects, handprint turkeys, finger paint rainbows, construction paper hearts with glitter that gets everywhere. Rebecca used to put them on the fridge. I used to take photos and send them to my mom. This Tuesday, Emma runs through the door, backpack bouncing, clutching a piece of white paper folded in half. Daddy, look what I made! She unfolds it on the kitchen table. It's a family portrait, red crayon house, green grass, yellow sun with a smiley face, and 4 stick figures holding hands. 4. I count them again, me, Rebecca, Emma, and a 4th figure, taller than me, drawn with a blue shirt and brown hair. Above his head, in Emma's wobbly 6-year-old handwriting, Mr. Chris. Who's Mr. Chris, sweetheart? Emma looks up at me with those green eyes, her mother's eyes, I always thought. Anne smiles. Mr. Chris comes to our house sometimes, when you're at work. Mommy says he's her friend. I feel something cold slide down my spine. How often does Mr. Chris come over? She shrugs. Lots. He's nice. He brings me cookies. Rebecca walks in from the garage, grocery bags in hand. She sees the drawing. Her face goes white. Emma, honey, why don't you go wash your hands for dinner? Emma skips away. Rebecca and I stare at each other across the kitchen table. The drawing sits between us like evidence at a crime scene. Who's Mr. Chris? She laughs. It's forced. Her teacher's husband. He volunteers sometimes. You know how kids are? They get confused. She drew him in our family portrait. Kids make up stories, Thomas. It's developmental. I read about it online. But she won't look at me. And that laugh. It's the same laugh she used 3 months ago when I asked why she changed her phone passcode. The same laugh when I asked why she started going to the gym at 9 p.m. She's lying. And suddenly every strange thing from the past 6 months lines up like dominoes. The new clothes, the perfume I didn't buy her, the way she tilts her phone away from me when she texts, the overnight work conference in Portland last month. Rebecca grabs the drawing. I'll talk to her teacher. Emma's probably mixing up names. She crumples it and throws it in the trash. I wait until she goes upstairs. Then I fish it out, smooth it flat, and stare at the 4th stick figure. Mr. Chris has a smile bigger than mine. I become a detective in my own home. It's not something I'm proud of. But if you've ever had that gut feeling, the one that turns your stomach and keeps you awake at 3 a.m., replaying conversations, questioning every I love you, you know this feeling. It's not paranoia. It's survival. I start small. I check the credit card statements. There's a charge for $87 at a restaurant downtown. Paleo's, Italian. We haven't been there in 2 years. The date, March 12th. That was the night Rebecca said she had drinks with her team after work. I call my best friend Jake. Do me a favor, don't ask why, just, can you swing by Paleo's next Thursday around 7? Rebecca says she has another team dinner. Jake hesitates. Tom, man, you sure you want to know? I need to know. Thursday comes. Jake texts me at 7:32 p.m. She's here, not alone. Then, it's Christopher Davis, her boss, the VP of marketing at Morrison & Associates, the guy who promoted her last year, the guy who came to Emma's 5th birthday party and shook my hand and said, "You've got a great family, Tom. Don't ever take it for granted." I sit in my car outside our house for 20 minutes before I go inside. Emma's watching cartoons. Rebecca's in the kitchen, humming, making tea. How was dinner? I ask. Oh, boring work stuff. Janet talked for an hour about the Q3 projections. Janet, Rebecca's coworker. Who wasn't at that restaurant? I go to Best Buy the next morning and buy a voice-activated recorder, Sony ICD PX470, small, silver, cold in my palm. The red record light blinks like a heartbeat. I feel like a criminal, planting it under the passenger seat of Rebecca's car. But I also feel like I'm the only one paying attention. 3 days later, I sit in my home office and press play. The first voice is Rebecca's, laughing, breathy. I can't believe we're doing this. The second voice is Christopher's, deep, confident, familiar. Your husband doesn't suspect? Thomas? No, he's oblivious. He's so focused on work and Emma, I could walk out the door with a suitcase and he'd ask if I needed help carrying it. They laugh. And then there's silence, rustling, a sigh, and sounds I don't need to describe because you already know what I heard. I sit there for 37 minutes, listening. The recording is time-stamped March 19th, 2:14 p.m. I was at the office. Emma was at school. They were in our driveway. When it ends, I sit in the dark. I don't cry. I don't scream. I just sit there, staring at the recorder, thinking about Emma's drawing. 4 people, not 3. If you've ever had to become a detective in your own home, checking phones, listening at doors, questioning every "I love you," you know this feeling. It's not paranoia. It's survival. Drop "I understand" in the comments if you've been there. The next day I order a DNA test online. Gene Direct Labs, discreet packaging, results in 315 business days. I tell myself I'm being paranoid, that Emma has my nose, my laugh, that she falls asleep the same way I do, on her side, one hand tucked under her cheek. But then I think about those green eyes, Rebecca's eyes, and I think about Christopher Davis, his green eyes. The kid arrives in a plain brown box. I swab Emma's cheek while she's brushing her teeth before bed. "Open wide, sweetheart. I'm just checking for sugar bugs." She giggles. "Daddy, that tickles." I swab my own cheek, seal the samples, mail it the next morning. 3 days later, the envelope arrives. White. Official seal. Gene Direct Labs logo in blue. I can feel the weight of the paper through the envelope before I even open it. I leave it on the counter for 3 days. I wake up. I make Emma breakfast. I kiss Rebecca goodbye when she leaves for work. Her lips taste like coffee and lies. I go to my job, write code, attend meetings, smile at coworkers. I come home. I read Emma bedtime stories, Goodnight Moon, Where the Wild Things Are. I tuck her in, kiss her forehead, whisper, "I love you," and every night I walk past that envelope. On the 4th day I open it. I'm standing in the kitchen, Emma's at school, Rebecca's at yoga, which might be yoga, might be Christopher's apartment, I don't know anymore. I tear the seal, pull out the single sheet of paper. DNA paternity test report. Alleged father, Thomas James Miller. Child, Emma Rose Miller. Probability of paternity, 0.0000%. Conclusion, the alleged father is excluded as the biological father of the tested child. The number sits there like a bomb that's already detonated, 0.0%. I read it 3 times. I checked the names. Emma Rose Miller, born September 14th, 2017, my daughter. Except, she's not. I think about the past 6 years, the night Emma was born, her tiny hand wrapping around my finger, the way she looked at me like I was her entire world, her first steps, her first word, Dada. The time she had pneumonia at 3, and I stayed up for 48 hours straight, holding her, singing "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star" until my voice gave out. The scraped knees I kissed, the nightmares I chased away, the bedtime stories only I knew how to tell because I made up the voices and she'd laugh until she hiccuped. 6 years, all built on a lie. I look at the DNA report again, and I realize I've been raising Christopher Davis's daughter. Emma walks through the door at 3:30. Rebecca picks her up from school. I'm sitting at the kitchen table. The envelope's in my hand. Rebecca sees it. She knows. Thomas, I stand up. Is she his? I can explain, is Emma his? Silence, then, quietly, I don't know. You don't know? You don't know? Emma appears in the doorway. Daddy? I swallow the scream. I plaster on a smile. Hey, sweetheart. Why don't you go play in your room? Mommy and I need to talk. She hesitates. Then she runs upstairs. Her little footsteps disappear down the hall. I turn back to Rebecca. How long? 2 years. 2 years. Emma's 6. So you've been sleeping with him since she was 4? She looks at the floor. It just happened. It just happened. For 2 years. It just happened. I throw the DNA report on the table. She picks it up, reads it, her face crumbles. Thomas, get out. What? Get out of this house, right now. I don't want to see you. She starts crying. You can't kick me out. This is my house, too. And Emma isn't mine. The words hang in the air. Rebecca's voice drops to a whisper. She doesn't know that, and she doesn't need to. Thomas, we can fix this. I laugh. It's hollow. Fix this? You've been fucking your boss for 2 years. You let me raise another man's child, and you think we can fix this? She reaches for my hand. I pull away. I'm calling my mother, she says. We need family. We need to figure this out. Family, right, because that's what we are. My mother arrives 2 hours later. Patricia Miller, 65, steel gray hair pulled into a tight bun, pearls, navy cardigan. The same woman who raised me to honor your commitments and think of others before yourself. The matriarch, the judge, the keeper of the Miller family legacy. She sits in our living room like she's holding court. Rebecca's on the couch, red-eyed. Uncle Richard's here too, my dad's older brother, the family patriarch since my father passed 2 years ago. They know about the affair. Rebecca called them, crying, apologizing, begging them to make Thomas see reason. I show them the DNA report. Patricia reads it, hands it to Richard. They exchange a look. Then my mother looks at me and says, Thomas, sit down. I stay standing. This is a terrible situation, but we need to think about Emma. I am thinking about Emma. No, you're thinking about yourself. That child didn't ask for this. She's innocent, and she loves you. You've been her father for 6 years. That doesn't just stop. I stare at her. She's not my daughter. She is, in every way that matters. Blood doesn't change that. Rebecca nods, wiping her eyes. Thomas, I made a mistake. A horrible mistake. But we can't hurt Emma because of my mistakes. We need to stay together. For her. Uncle Richard clears his throat. Son, I know this is hard, but divorce would devastate that little girl. And frankly, it would devastate this family. Think of your reputation. Think of ours. I look around the room, at these people, my family, who are asking me to stay, to forgive, to pretend. You want me to raise another man's child. Patricia stands, walks over, puts her hand on my shoulder. I want you to be the man your father raised you to be. A man who honors his vows. A man who doesn't abandon family just because it gets hard. But she's not. She calls you daddy. That makes you her family, blood or not. I look at Rebecca. She's nodding. Hopeful. I look at the DNA report on the coffee table. I think about Emma upstairs, probably listening through the vent, wondering why everyone's yelling, and I realize my own mother is siding with my cheating wife. My own family is asking me to swallow this, to accept it, to stay for the sake of appearances. Uncle Richard leans forward. Thomas, I'm going to be blunt. You're upset, rightfully so, but you need to think about what you're throwing away. Your marriage, your reputation, that child's stability. Do you really want to be the man who abandoned a 6-year-old because of a paternity test? She's Christopher Davis's daughter, and she's also the little girl who cries when you leave for business trips, the one who made you that drawing. Do you think she'll understand if you leave? I open my mouth, close it. My mother looks me in the eye, firm, unflinching. You made a vow, Thomas, for better or worse. You don't abandon family, I think, but I'm not her family. That's the whole point. But I don't say it. Because looking at them, my mother, my uncle, my wife, I understand something. They don't care about me. They care about appearances, about not having a scandal, about not having to explain at church that Thomas Miller's wife cheated and the kid isn't his. They care about the Miller name, not me. I look at Rebecca. I need time. She nods. Of course. Take all the time you need. Patricia smiles, relief. That's my boy. You'll see. This will blow over. Families survive worse. They leave. I sit alone in the living room. The DNA report's still on the table, and I start planning my exit. I spend the next 3 months pretending everything is fine. I tell Rebecca I forgive her. I tell my mother I'll stay. I tell Emma I love her, and that's the only truth I speak for 97 days. But behind the scenes, I'm moving pieces on a chessboard. I meet with a financial advisor, quietly. I cash out my stocks. I liquidate my 401k. I take early withdrawal penalties. I don't care. I'm not planning for retirement. I'm planning for escape. My father left me an inheritance when he died. $4.2 million trust fund, managed by the family lawyer. I call him. I want to transfer everything to an offshore account. Thomas, that's highly unusual. I'm the beneficiary. It's my money. Transfer it. He does. $4.2 million moves from Miller Family Trust to an account in the Cayman Islands. Untouchable. Invisible. I open a new bank account under my name only. I redirect my paycheck. I cancel joint credit cards. I buy a burner phone. I book a one-way ticket to Missoula, Montana, a place so remote my family will never think to look. At home, I play the role of the repentant husband. I take Rebecca to dinner. I hold her hand. I smile when she talks about rebuilding trust. I don't flinch when she mentions Christopher's name. He's been let go from Morrison and Associates, she says. Mutual decision. For the best. I don't tell her I called his wife and sent her the recordings. I don't tell her Christopher's marriage imploded 3 weeks ago. I don't tell her anything, because I'm done talking. At night, I sit in Emma's room and watch her sleep. She's 6. She has no idea her world is about to collapse. She has no idea I'm not her father. She has no idea I'm leaving, but I can't stay. Because every time I look at her, I see Christopher Davis. I see Rebecca's lies. I see my mother's demand that I honor my vows. I see 6 years of a life that wasn't real. On April 2nd, 2023, Emma's 6th birthday, we throw a party. Balloons, cake, friends from school. She wears a purple dress and a plastic tiara. She blows out the candles and makes a wish. "What'd you wish for, sweetheart?" She grins. "I can't tell you, Daddy. Then it won't come true." I kiss her forehead. That night, after everyone leaves, I tuck her into bed. I read her goodnight moon one last time. Goodnight stars, goodnight air, goodnight noises everywhere. She's already half asleep. Her breathing slows. I take Mr. Buttons, her teddy bear, brown and worn, missing the left eye from when she was 3, and place him on her pillow. He smells like apple shampoo and crayons. I leave a sealed envelope on her nightstand. White, my handwriting, open when you're 18, love, Daddy. Inside, I've written everything. The affair, the DNA test, why I left, and this. If you hate me when you read this, I'll understand. If you don't, maybe we'll have coffee. I'll be waiting. I love you. That was never a lie. I seal it with blue wax from her princess stamp set. Then I walk out. I don't pack much, 1 suitcase, laptop, cash, the burner phone. I leave the wedding ring on the dresser. I drive away at 4 a.m. In my rearview mirror, I see the house lights flicker on. Rebecca must have woken up, checked the bed, found me gone. I don't stop. I told myself, this is Mercy. She'll forget me. She's 6. Kids forget. But 5 years later, I'll learn the truth. Kids don't forget, and neither do I. Montana doesn't ask questions. That's why I chose it. Missoula, population 75,000, surrounded by mountains. Far enough from Seattle that no one from my old life would ever stumble across me in a grocery store. Remote enough that I could disappear. I rent a cabin 30 minutes outside town. 2 bedrooms, wood stove. No neighbors for half a mile. The kind of place where you can scream and no one hears you. I do that sometimes. Scream. I get a job working remote for a tech startup in Austin. They don't care where I am as long as the code ships on time. I use my middle name on the contract. James Miller, not Thomas. Thomas Miller stayed in Seattle. Thomas Miller died the night he drove away from Emma. James Miller lives in Montana. James Miller drinks too much. James Miller wakes up at 3 a.m. and stares at the ceiling and thinks about a 6-year-old girl who's probably forgotten him by now. Kids forget. That's what I tell myself. 6 months into exile, I start seeing a therapist. Her name is Dr. Sarah Bennett, 50s, silver hair cut short, office downtown with plants everywhere, ferns, succulents, something purple I can't name. She doesn't take insurance, cash only, which is fine. I have $4.2 million and nothing to spend it on except guilt. Our first session, she asks me why I'm here. I hand her the DNA report, folded, wrinkled from being opened and reread 100 times. The paper's soft now, like fabric. She reads it, looks up at me. And you left. I left. Why? I laugh. It's bitter. Because she wasn't mine. Because my wife lied. Because my own mother told me to stay and raise another man's child for the sake of appearances. Why do you think I left? I didn't ask why you think you should have left. I asked why you did leave. I don't answer. She waits. Finally I say, because I was a coward. Tell me about Emma. And that's when I break. I tell her everything, the drawings, the bedtime stories, the way Emma used to climb into my lap when she was scared and press her face into my chest like I was a fortress. The time she was 4 and fell off her bike, and I ran so fast I thought my heart would explode. The way she said daddy with 2 syllables, dad die, like it was a song. I loved her, I say. That's the worst part. I still love her, and I hate myself for it because she's not mine. Dr. Bennett writes something in her notebook. Do you think Emma loved you? She was 6. She didn't know any better. That's not what I asked. I look at the fern in the corner. Green, thriving. I don't know how she keeps it alive. Yeah, she loved me. Past tense? I left. She's 11 now. She's forgotten me. Dr. Bennett leans forward. Thomas, can I call you Thomas? James. James, do you really believe that? That a child forgets the person who raised her, who sang to her, held her, loved her for 6 years? I don't answer. She writes something else. Then she says, you didn't leave Emma to protect her. You left to protect yourself. I stand up. Session's over. Same time next week? I don't answer. But I come back. Every Thursday. 3 p.m. for 5 years. Year 2 in Montana, I hire a private investigator. I tell myself it's just to make sure Emma's okay, that I'm not monitoring them. I'm just checking. From a distance. The PI's name is Marcus Green, former cop, works out of Spokane. He charges $200 an hour plus expenses. I don't care about the cost. What do you need? He asks. I need to know if a child is safe. He doesn't ask why I don't just check myself. He's seen enough broken families to know better. Every month, Marcus sends a report. Photos, school records, medical records if he can get them, social media screenshots. The first report arrives in June 2024. Subject, Emma Rose Miller. Now, Emma Rose Davis. Name legally changed March 2024. Current residence, 4738. Maple Drive, Seattle, WA living. With Rebecca Anderson Davis and Christopher James Davis. Married December 2023. School, Whitman Elementary, 5th grade. Notes, subject appears healthy. Regular school attendance. No red flags. Attached. A photo of Emma getting out of a car. She's taller. Her hair's longer. She's wearing a purple backpack. She looks like a stranger. The second report, August 2024. Notes, neighbors report frequent arguments at residence. Police called twice for domestic disturbance. Verbal only. No charges filed. Subject's mother, Rebecca Davis, appears visibly stressed. Subject, Emma, observed sitting alone at recess multiple times per school staff. Third report, November 2024. Notes, subject missed 12 days of school in October. Reason given, family emergency. School counselor flagged Emma for withdrawn behavior and declining academic performance. Previously straight A student now receiving C's and D's. I call Marcus. I need you to dig deeper. How deep? Everything. Christopher Davis, criminal record, employment, medical. I need to know if he's dangerous. Marcus is quiet for a moment. You're the father, aren't you? The biological one. No, but I was her father, and I need to know if she's safe. He sends the report 2 weeks later. Christopher James Davis, age 43, VP of Marketing at Morrison & Associates until April 2023, terminated, cause inappropriate workplace relationship. Currently employed at Burke & Hamilton Marketing, junior position, $60K salary, cut from previous role. 2 DUIs, 1 in 2019, 1 in 2023. Restraining order filed by ex-wife Jennifer Davis in 2021. Reason, verbal abuse and intimidation. Anger management classes court-ordered 2021. Completion status, unknown. I stare at the report. Emma is living with a man who has a restraining order for abuse. Emma is living with a man I put her recording evidence against. Emma is living in a house where police are called for domestic disturbances. And I'm in Montana, doing nothing. Dr. Bennett's voice echoes in my head. You didn't leave Emma to protect her. You left to protect yourself. I book a flight to Seattle. Then I cancel it. I book it again. Cancel it. I tell Marcus to keep watching. March 2028. Emma turns 11. I know this because I've marked every birthday on my calendar for 5 years. September 14th, the day she was born, the day I became a father, or thought I did. I didn't send a card. I haven't contacted her in 5 years. What would I even say? Sorry I abandoned you. Sorry I chose my pain over your stability. Sorry I left you with a man who screams at your mother and drives drunk and has a history of abuse. Yeah, Hallmark doesn't make that card. Marcus's latest report arrives March 20th, 2028. Subject missed 47 days of school this academic year. School administration contacted Child Protective Services. February 2028. Case opened, then closed. Insufficient evidence of abuse. Neighbors report frequent yelling from residents. Subject observed walking to school alone multiple times, appearing unkempt and withdrawn, per teacher Miss Roberts. Supplemental, subject's birthday, March 14th, observed via social media. No party. No post from mother. Single photo uploaded by maternal grandmother. Emma sitting alone at kitchen table with small cake. No candles lit. Caption, Happy 11th to our girl. Attached, the photo. Emma, 11 years old, sitting at a table. The cake in front of her is store-bought, plastic container still visible, her hair's pulled back in a messy ponytail. She's not smiling. She looks tired. She looks like a child who's been carrying weight she shouldn't have to carry. I stare at that photo for an hour. Then I go to my P.O. box, the one I've kept active in Missoula for 5 years, just in case, though I don't know what I was hoping for. There's a single envelope inside, handmade, construction paper, purple. My name on the front, not James Miller, Thomas Miller, my real name. Written in handwriting that's bigger now, but still slants to the left, the way it did when she was 6. My hands shake as I open it. Inside, a drawing, crayon, a girl with long brown hair holding a teddy bear. One eye missing on the bear, Mr. Buttons. The girl is standing alone. No house, no family, just her, and the bear. At the top, in careful letters, I'm 11 today. Below, I still have Mr. Buttons. And at the bottom, do you still have me? Pressed inside the card is a dandelion. Dried flat. Yellow petals turned brown. I sit down on the post office floor, and I cry, not quiet tears, not dignified grief. I sob like a man who's been holding his breath underwater for 5 years and finally broke the surface. The postal worker asks if I'm okay. I can't answer. I just hold the card and think about a 6-year-old girl who drew a family portrait with 4 people, and an 11-year-old girl who drew herself alone. She remembered. After 5 years of silence. After I left her in the middle of the night with nothing but a teddy bear and a letter she wasn't supposed to open until she was 18, she remembered. And in that moment, I understand something Dr. Bennett tried to tell me 3 years ago. I didn't leave to protect Emma. I left because I was afraid. Afraid of raising a child who wasn't mine. Afraid of what people would think. Afraid of being the man who stayed after his wife cheated, who raised another man's daughter, who swallowed his pride and his pain for the sake of a little girl who called him daddy. I was afraid of love that cost me everything, and I left her to face Christopher Davis alone. If you've ever gotten a message from someone you thought had forgotten you, comment, I remember. I called Dr. Bennett that night. I need an emergency session. She hears something in my voice. I'll be at the office in 30 minutes. I drive into town. It's 9 p.m. The office is dark except for her light. She's still in her cardigan from earlier. She makes tea. Earl Grey hands me the cup. What happened? I give her the card. She reads it, looks at the drawing, touches the pressed dandelion. She found you. She remembered me. Of course she remembered you. Thomas, James, whoever you want to be today. She loved you. And you left. That doesn't just disappear. I thought it would be easier for her if I was just gone. Like I never existed. Dr. Bennett sets the card down gently, like it's made of glass. You thought wrong. I look at the drawing. The girl alone. The bear with one eye. Marcus says she's in danger. Christopher, her biological father, he has a history. And she's living with him, missing school. The neighbors hear yelling. CPS opened a case and closed it. And you're in Montana. I'm in Montana. Why? I don't answer. She leans forward. You want to know what I think? I think you're terrified. Not of Christopher Davis, not of your ex-wife or your mother or what people will say. You're terrified of the question Emma's asking in that card. What question? She taps the card. Do you still have me? That's not asking if you remember her. It's asking if you still love her, if you're still her father, if you're coming back. I'm not her father. The DNA says you're not her biological parent. It doesn't say anything about whether you're her father. You've been using that test as an excuse for 5 years. But Emma doesn't care about DNA. She cares about the man who read her bedtime stories and kissed her scraped knees and held her when she cried. And that man left. So she's asking, do you still have me? And you need to answer her. I stare at the tea. It's getting cold. What if she hates me? What if she doesn't? What if I go back and Christopher won't let me see her? What if Rebecca files a restraining order? What if Emma's waiting for you and you don't show up? Again? Silence. Dr. Bennett stands. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you this. You didn't leave Emma to protect her. You left to protect yourself from feeling like a fool, from raising a child who wasn't yours. But you know what? She was yours for 6 years, and she still is. Because fatherhood isn't biology. It's showing up, and you stopped. She hands me the card. So the question is, are you going to keep running, or are you going to fight for her? I look at the drawing, the girl, the bear, the question. Do you still have me? And I make a decision. The next morning, I call Margaret Lawson. She's a family law attorney in Seattle, top-rated, specializes in custody battles. I found her website 2 years ago and bookmarked it, telling myself I'd never need it. Miller and Associates Family Law, how can I help you? I need to file for custody of a child who isn't biologically mine. There's a pause. Can you come to Seattle for a consultation? I can be there tomorrow. Margaret's office is downtown, 16th floor, glass walls, view of Puget Sound. She's in her 50s, sharp suit, red glasses. She doesn't smile when we shake hands. So, tell me your story. I give her everything, the affair, the DNA test, my family's intervention, the 5 years in Montana, Marcus's reports, Emma's birthday card. She listens, takes notes, doesn't interrupt. When I finish, she sets down her pen. You're not the biological father. Correct. You abandoned the child for 5 years. Yes, and now you want custody. I want to save her. Margaret takes off her glasses, rubs her eyes. Mr. Miller, I'm going to be blunt. This is a nightmare case. You have no biological claim. You voluntarily left. The child has been living with her biological father for 5 years. Any judge will look at this and say you're a stranger with a savior complex. She's not safe. You have proof? I slide Marcus's reports across the desk. The school records, the CPS case, the photos of Emma, thin, tired, alone. Margaret reads. Her expression doesn't change, but her jaw tightens. This is good. Christopher Davis has a record. The school's flagged Emma. CPS opened a case. Even though they closed it, it's on file. And this card? She touches the purple construction paper. This shows emotional bond. She sought you out. That's powerful. So we have a case, we have a shot, but it's going to be expensive and ugly. Rebecca will fight you. Christopher will fight you. Your own family might testify against you. I don't care. You should care, because if you lose, you'll have dragged Emma through a custody battle for nothing. And if I win, she's safe. Margaret looks at me, really looks at me. Why now? You've had 5 years to come back. Why now? I pull out the drawing, the girl alone, the bear, the question. Because I finally got brave enough to answer her. Margaret is quiet for a moment. Then she nods. Okay, I'll take your case, but I need something from you first. What? I need you to understand. This isn't about revenge on Rebecca or Christopher. This isn't about proving you were right to leave. This is about Emma. And if we're doing this, we're doing it because she needs you, not because you need to feel like a father again. I don't need to feel like a father. I need to be one. She smiles, first time, small. Good, then let's build your case. Over the next 2 weeks, I assemble a team. Margaret brings in a forensic accountant, Leo Chen, to review Rebecca and Christopher's finances. Turns out Christopher's salary drop from $140K to $60K has created significant debt. Credit card balances, late mortgage payments, possible financial stress, environmental factor for abuse. She also brings in a child psychologist, Dr. Nina Foster, who reviews Marcus's reports and Emma's school records. Dr. Foster's preliminary assessment: Emma exhibits signs of emotional neglect and possible verbal abuse. The decline in academic performance, social withdrawal, and school absences are red flags consistent with an unstable home environment. Margaret files the case: Thomas James Miller versus Rebecca Anderson Davis and Christopher James Davis. Petition for custody modification under psychological parent doctrine. Washington State recognizes psychological parents, adults who, though not biologically related, have formed a parent-child bond and acted as primary caregivers. It's rare, it's difficult, but it's possible. The filing includes DNA report, Exhibit A, evidence of 6-year parental relationship, Exhibit B, photos, school records, medical records with Thomas listed as father, evidence of current harm, Exhibit C, PI reports, school records, CPS case file, Emma's birthday card, Exhibit D. Margaret looks at the binder, 3 inches thick, blue divider tabs. Section 1, DNA. Section 2, recordings, transcribed 47 pages. Section 3, medical, Christopher's restraining order, from ex-wife Jennifer Davis, 2021. This is good, she says. We're not just asking for custody. We're asking the court to recognize you as Emma's real father, and we're arguing that her biological father is a danger. What are our odds? If I'm being honest, 60-40, in your favor. But it depends on Emma. What do you mean? She's 11, old enough for the court to consider her preference. If she says she wants to live with you, we win. If she says she wants to stay with Rebecca and Christopher, she won't. How do you know? I hold up the card. Because she asked me to come back, and I'm not going to let her down again. Margaret nods. Then, let's go get your daughter. October 15th, 2028. I drive back to Seattle. It's been 5 years since I left. The city looks the same. The Space Needle, Pike Place Market. The rain that never stops. I park outside Whitman Elementary at 2:45 p.m. School lets out at 3, so Margaret advised against this. Let me file the paperwork first. Don't approach Emma without legal clearance. It could hurt our case. But I don't care about the case. I care about answering her question. Do you still have me? The bell rings. Kids pour out. Backpacks, laughter, parents waiting at the curb. And then I see her. Emma, 11 years old. Brown hair pulled back in a ponytail. Purple backpack. She's taller now. Her face has lost the roundness of childhood. But those green eyes, Rebecca's eyes, are the same. She's walking alone. No one picks her up. She starts down the sidewalk toward home. I get out of the car. Emma, she stops, turns, and for a moment, I think she won't recognize me. 5 years is a long time. I have gray in my beard now. Lines around my eyes. I'm 43. I look like a stranger, but Emma's face, it changes from confusion to shock to something I can't name. She drops her backpack, and she runs, not away from me, to me. She crashes into my chest and wraps her arms around me and buries her face in my jacket, and she's crying, and I'm crying, and I can't breathe because this little girl, this 11-year-old girl, who isn't mine by blood, but is mine in every way that matters, remembered me. You came back, she whispers. You came back. I hold her. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Emma. I shouldn't have left. I should have. You got my card. I did. She pulls back. Looks up at me, those green eyes. Do you still have me? And I say the only thing that's true, I never stopped. Behind us, a car screeches to a stop. Rebecca, she gets out, sees me, sees Emma. Her face goes white. Thomas, I stand. Emma stays close to me. Her hand grips my jacket. Rebecca, what are you doing here? You can't just show up. I'm filing for custody. She laughs. It's sharp, panicked. Custody? You have no right. You left her. You walked away. You abandoned us. I left you, not her, and I'm back now. A school security guard approaches. Is there a problem? Rebecca points at me. This man is harassing my daughter. Emma's voice is small but clear. He's not harassing me. He's my dad. Rebecca stares at her. Emma, get in the car, now. Emma doesn't move. Emma, car, now. I crouch down, look at Emma. Go with your mom. It's okay. I'll see you soon, I promise. You won't leave again? Never. She hugs me one more time. Then she walks to Rebecca's car. She looks back at me before she gets in. Rebecca slams the door, walks over to me. Her voice is low, vicious. You have no right. She's not yours. The DNA? I know what the DNA says. I don't care. I'm her father, and I'm taking you to court. You'll lose. Christopher is her biological father. I'm her mother. You're nobody. I hand her an envelope. That's the custody petition. We're due in family court November 3rd. See you there? She takes it. Her hand shakes. I get in my car, and as I drive away, I look in the rearview mirror. Emma's face is pressed against the car window, watching me. This time, I don't disappear. This time, I stay. Family court doesn't look like TV. No dramatic music, no packed gallery. Just a small courtroom on the 3rd floor of King County Superior Court. Fluorescent lights, beige walls, a bailiff who looks bored. Judge Carol Morrison presides, late 50s, short gray hair, reading glasses on a chain. She's reviewed our case file. I can see the 3-inch binder on her desk, blue tabs sticking out like flags. Margaret sits next to me at the plaintiff's table, navy suit, red glasses. Her legal pad is covered in notes. Across the aisle, Rebecca and Christopher, and their attorney, David Klein, expensive suit, slicked back hair, the kind of lawyer who bills $600 an hour to make you look like the villain. Rebecca won't look at me. Christopher does. He's bigger than I remember, 43 now, graying at the temples. His jaw is tight, angry. Judge Morrison calls the court to order. We're here for the matter of Miller versus Davis, petition for custody modification. Mr. Klein, your opening statement. Klein stands. Thank you, Your Honor. This case is very simple. Mr. Thomas Miller abandoned his family 5 years ago. No contact, no child support, no explanation. He left a 6-year-old girl in the middle of the night and disappeared. Now, after 5 years of silence, he's returned. Not out of love, but out of some misguided savior complex. He has no biological relationship to the child. He has no legal standing, and most importantly, he has no right to disrupt the stable home that Emma has built with her mother and her biological father, Mr. Christopher Davis. Klein gestures to Christopher. Mr. Davis has been in Emma's life for 9 years. He is her father, not by choice, not by convenience, but by blood. And this court should recognize that biology matters. He sits. Margaret stands. Your Honor, Mr. Klein is correct about one thing. Biology matters, but not in the way he thinks. Biology is an accident. Fatherhood is a choice. For 6 years, Thomas Miller chose Emma. He was the one who woke up at 3 a.m. when she had nightmares. He was the one who taught her to ride a bike. He was the one who read her bedtime stories and sang her songs and loved her unconditionally. Not because he had to, but because she was his daughter. And when he learned she wasn't biologically his, when his wife admitted to a 2-year affair, when his own family told him to stay for the sake of appearances, he made a terrible mistake. He left. And he's spent every day of the past 5 years regretting it. Margaret opens the binder. But this case isn't about Mr. Miller's mistakes. It's about Emma's safety. Because while Mr. Miller was in Montana trying to figure out how to live with his grief, Emma was living with a man who has a documented history of verbal abuse, 2 DUIs, and a restraining order from his ex-wife. Emma's school absences have skyrocketed. Her grades have plummeted. Child Protective Services opened an investigation, and Emma, an 11-year-old child, sent Mr. Miller a birthday card with one question. Do you still have me? She holds up the purple construction paper card. She didn't ask her biological father that question. She asked the man who raised her, the man she still calls Daddy. And this court needs to answer her. Does she still have him? Or are we going to tell Emma that biology matters more than love? Margaret sits. Judge Morrison looks at the binder, then at us. I've reviewed the preliminary filings. Mr. Miller, I'll hear from you first. Tell me why you believe you have standing to petition for custody of a child who is not biologically yours. I stand. My legs feel weak. Your Honor, I don't have a DNA connection to Emma, but I was her father for 6 years. I was listed on her birth certificate. I was there when she was born. I cut her umbilical cord. I held her when she cried. I was her parent in every way that the law and society define parenthood, except biology. Judge Morrison interrupts. But you left. I did. For 5 years. Yes, Your Honor. Why? I take a breath. Because I was scared and hurt, and I genuinely believed that Emma would be better off without me, that she'd forget me, that she'd move on. I was wrong, and I spent 5 years learning that the hard way. And now you're back. Why? I pull out the birthday card. Because she asked me to come back, and I'm not going to abandon her again. Judge Morrison takes the card, reads it. Her expression doesn't change, but she stares at the drawing, the girl alone, holding Mr. Buttons, for a long time. Ms. Lawson, you're arguing for psychological parent status under Washington state law. Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Miller meets all criteria. He acted as primary caregiver, formed a parent-child bond, and served in a parental role with the consent of the biological mother for 6 years. He has standing. Mr. Klein stands. Your Honor, psychological parent doctrine requires ongoing relationship. Mr. Miller hasn't seen this child in 5 years. That bond is severed, and even if it weren't, the child is currently in a stable, 2-parent home with her biological father and mother. There is no legal or factual basis for custody modification. Judge Morrison looks at me. Mr. Miller, do you have evidence that the current home is unstable or unsafe? Margaret stands. We do, Your Honor. May I call our first witness? Proceed. Dr. Nina Foster takes the stand. Child psychologist, expert witness. She's reviewed Emma's school records, medical files, and the CPS case report. Margaret walks her through the findings. Dr. Foster, in your professional opinion, is Emma thriving in her current environment? No. Can you elaborate? Dr. Foster adjusts her glasses. Emma was a high-performing student through 2nd grade, straight A's, perfect attendance. According to teacher reports, she was social, engaged, and happy. Beginning in 3rd grade, approximately 2 years after Mr. Miller's departure, and 1 year after her mother's remarriage to Mr. Davis, Emma's performance declined sharply. She became withdrawn. Her grades dropped to C's and D's. Her attendance became sporadic. This academic year alone, she's missed 47 days. And what does that indicate to you? It indicates environmental stressors. When a child's performance changes that dramatically, we look for disruptions in the home. Divorce, abuse, neglect, substance issues. Something is wrong. Klein objects. Speculation, Your Honor. Dr. Foster hasn't evaluated the child or the home. Judge Morrison nods. Sustained. Dr. Foster, stick to what you can substantiate. Margaret pivots. Dr. Foster, you also reviewed Emma's birthday card to Mr. Miller. What does that tell you? It tells me that Emma maintains a strong emotional attachment to Mr. Miller, despite 5 years of separation. The question she asks, "Do you still have me?" indicates abandonment anxiety. She's seeking reassurance from a parental figure, and notably, she didn't seek that reassurance from her biological father or her mother. She sought it from Mr. Miller. Why is that significant? Because children instinctively reach out to the people they trust, the people who made them feel safe. Emma's card suggests that Mr. Miller still occupies that role in her mind. That bond hasn't been severed, it's been waiting. Klein cross-examines. Dr. Foster, isn't it possible Emma's struggling because Mr. Miller abandoned her? That he is the source of her trauma? It's possible, but the timeline doesn't support that. Emma's decline began after her mother's remarriage, not immediately after Mr. Miller's departure. Klein presses. You've never met Emma. You've never observed her with Mr. Davis or Mr. Miller. Isn't your testimony just speculation? I'm basing my assessment on documented patterns of behavior and established psychological principles. But you're correct. I haven't observed Emma directly. That's why I'd recommend a custody evaluator interview her. Judge Morrison makes a note. We'll return to that. Next witness. Margaret calls Marcus Green, the private investigator. He testifies about his surveillance. The school absences, the police calls for domestic disturbances, the neighbors' reports of yelling. Klein tries to discredit him. Mr. Green, you were hired by Mr. Miller. You have a financial interest in painting Mr. Davis negatively. I was hired to observe and report. I reported what I saw. And what did you see? Any actual abuse? No direct observation of physical abuse, but then you have nothing. Margaret redirects. Mr. Green, did you obtain any audio evidence? Yes, Mr. Miller provided recordings from 2023. Klein stands. Objection. Those recordings are 5 years old and were obtained without consent. Margaret counters. They were obtained in a vehicle owned jointly by Mr. Miller and his then wife. Washington is a two-party consent state, but Mr. Miller was a party. The recordings are admissible. Judge Morrison considers. I'll allow it. Let's hear the recordings. Margaret nods to the bailiff. He plays the audio. Rebecca's voice fills the courtroom, breathy, laughing, then Christopher's voice. Your husband doesn't suspect? Thomas? No, he's oblivious. Silence, rustling. Then Christopher again. When are you going to tell him? About us or about Emma? Both. Rebecca's voice quieter. I don't know, maybe never. It's easier this way. Judge Morrison's face hardens. She stops the recording. Is there more? Yes, Your Honor, but the relevant portion is this. Margaret fast forwards, then plays. Christopher's voice, angry. You know what? I didn't even want this kid. She's not mine. Emotionally, I mean. She's his. I'm just the biology. Rebecca. Chris, don't. Christopher. No, I'm serious. Emma looks at me like I'm a stranger. Because I am. I've been cleaning up Thomas Miller's mess for 5 years, and I'm done. I'm done pretending I give a damn about that kid. The courtroom is silent. Judge Morrison looks at Christopher. Mr. Davis, is that your voice on the recording? Christopher's jaw clenches. That was taken out of context. Answer the question. Is that your voice? Yes. And did you say, quote, I didn't even want this kid? Christopher looks at Klein. Klein nods. Yes, Your Honor, but that was during a private argument. I was venting. I love Emma. Judge Morrison doesn't respond. She makes another note. Margaret introduces the next exhibit. Christopher's restraining order from his ex-wife, Jennifer Davis. Mr. Davis, in 2021, your ex-wife filed a restraining order against you. Is that correct? It was dismissed, but it was filed. The reason cited, verbal abuse and intimidation. Were you court-ordered to attend anger management classes? Yes? Did you complete them? Christopher hesitates. No, life got busy. So you didn't complete court-ordered anger management, and you're now the primary father figure to an 11-year-old girl who's missing school, whose grades have collapsed, and who reached out to a man she hasn't seen in 5 years asking if he still loves her. Klein objects. Argumentative. Judge Morrison sustains. But the damage is done. Here's the question. Do you owe loyalty to someone who never owed it to you? Rebecca destroyed him. His family abandoned him. But Emma, she's innocent. So tell me, would you go back? Team protect yourself or team protect the child? Comment your answer. I need to know how this story ends for you. Rebecca takes the stand. Klein walks her through the marriage, the affair, the separation. Mrs. Davis, why did Mr. Miller leave? Rebecca dabs her eyes with a tissue. He was hurt. I don't blame him. I made a terrible mistake, but he didn't just leave me. He left Emma, and she's never understood why. Have you tried to contact Mr. Miller over the past 5 years? No, he made it clear he wanted nothing to do with us. Margaret cross-examines. Mrs. Davis, you testified that Mr. Miller made it clear he wanted nothing to do with you. Did he ever say that? Not in so many words, but he left. That speaks for itself. Did you ever try to find him? To tell him how Emma was doing? No. Why not? Rebecca looks at me. Because I thought it was better for Emma to move on, to have stability. Stability with Mr. Davis, the man on that recording saying he didn't even want this kid? Rebecca's voice hardens. Christopher was frustrated. We were arguing. People say things they don't mean. Do they? Or do they say things they do mean when they think no one's listening? Klein objects. Judge Morrison sustains. Margaret presses. Mrs. Davis, are you aware that Emma sent Mr. Miller a birthday card? Rebecca's face pales. What? A card, handmade, asking if he still loved her. Did you know about that? No. So Emma, without your knowledge, found Mr. Miller's address and reached out to him. Why do you think she did that? I don't know. I think you do. I think Emma reached out because she's not getting what she needs at home, and she remembered the man who used to give it to her. Rebecca is crying now. Thomas left us. He abandoned her. And now he's back, disrupting our lives, confusing Emma. Or maybe he's back because Emma asked him to come back. And maybe you're upset because his return means you have to face what you did. Klein objects. Judge Morrison sustains. Ms. Lawson, move on. Margaret nods. No further questions. Judge Morrison calls a recess. We step into the hallway. Margaret checks her phone. That went well. The recording sealed it. Christopher's own words. I didn't even want this kid. That's devastating. What about Rebecca? She's sympathetic, crying mother. But you heard her? She admitted she never tried to find you. She admitted she didn't know Emma was reaching out. That shows disconnection. What's next? Margaret looks at me. Next, we bring in your secret weapon. After the recess, Margaret calls Patricia Miller to the stand. My mother. I didn't know she was here. Margaret arranged it without telling me. Patricia walks to the witness stand. Navy dress, pearls, gray hair pulled back. She looks older than I remember, smaller. She doesn't look at me. Klein examines her first. Mrs. Miller, you're the defendant's mother, correct? Thomas is my son, yes. And you were present during the family meeting in 2023 when the affair and paternity test were revealed? I was. Can you tell the court what you advised your son to do? Patricia's voice is steady. I told him to stay, to honor his marriage vows, to think of Emma. And he didn't listen. No, he left. Klein nods. So, Mrs. Miller, in your view, your son abandoned his responsibilities. Patricia is quiet for a moment. Then she says, I told him to stay, but I was wrong. Klein freezes. I'm sorry? Patricia looks at Judge Morrison. I was wrong. I told Thomas to stay because I was worried about appearances, about what people would think, about the Miller name. I didn't think about Thomas or Emma. I thought about myself. Klein tries to recover. Mrs. Miller, you're saying you don't support your son's petition? No, I'm saying I do support it. The courtroom shifts. Rebecca stares at Patricia. Christopher looks at Klein. Margaret stands. Your Honor, may I examine the witness? Judge Morrison nods. Margaret approaches. Mrs. Miller, why did you change your mind? Patricia looks at me for the first time. Her eyes are wet. Because I've spent 5 years watching my son disappear. He moved to Montana. He stopped calling. He stopped coming home for holidays. I thought he was being selfish, running away. But then, 2 weeks ago, he called me, and he told me about Emma's card, and I realized he didn't run away from Emma. He ran away from us, from me, because I told him his love didn't matter as much as biology. Margaret hands her a photo album. What is this? This is the Miller family album, photos from Emma's life. Patricia opens it. The pages are worn, photos slip out. This is Thomas teaching Emma to ride a bike. She was 4, training wheels. He ran beside her for 2 hours until his knees bled. She didn't even know. He just kept running. She turns the page. This is Thomas reading to Emma before bed. Goodnight Moon, every single night. He'd make up voices. Emma would laugh until she couldn't breathe. Another page. This is Emma's first day of kindergarten. Thomas took the day off work to walk her to the classroom. He held her hand. He stayed until she stopped crying, and when he left, the teacher told me later, he sat in his car in the parking lot for an hour, just to make sure she was okay. Patricia's voice breaks. Blood didn't take these photos. Love did. And I told him to walk away from it. I told him biology mattered more than love. I was wrong, and I need to say that. To him, to Emma, to this court. She looks at Rebecca. Rebecca, you're Emma's mother. And Christopher, you're her biological father. But Thomas, he's her daddy. And there's a difference. Judge Morrison leans forward. Mrs. Miller, can you clarify what you mean by that? Patricia sets the album down. A father is biology. A daddy is the person who shows up, who fights, who stays. And Thomas stayed for 6 years. He didn't leave because he stopped loving Emma. He left because I told him his love wasn't enough, that it didn't count. And he believed me. She turns to me. I'm sorry, Thomas. I should have told you. You were always enough. And Emma knew that. She still knows that. Margaret hands Patricia the purple birthday card. Is this why you're here? Patricia nods. Emma asked him, do you still have me? And I'm here to tell this court. Yes, he does. He always did. Klein tries to cross-examine. But what can he say? This is Thomas Miller's own mother testifying against her original position, admitting she was wrong. He sits down. Patricia steps off the stand. She walks past me, squeezes my shoulder, and for the first time in 5 years, I feel like I have family again. Judge Morrison calls Emma into chambers for a preference hearing. Margaret explained this to me earlier. At age 11, Washington courts allow children to express their custodial preferences. It's not binding, but it's heavily weighted. I'm not allowed in the room. Neither is Rebecca or Christopher. Just Emma, Judge Morrison, and a court-appointed child advocate named Ms. Rodriguez. I sit in the hallway. Margaret paces. Rebecca and Christopher are silent. 30 minutes pass. The door opens. Ms. Rodriguez steps out. Her expression is neutral. She doesn't look at any of us. Judge Morrison will reconvene in 10 minutes. We return to the courtroom. Judge Morrison has Emma's card on her desk. The purple construction paper. The pressed dandelion. I've spoken with Emma. She's a very articulate, very brave young girl, and she made her preferences clear. Before I issue my ruling, I want to state something for the record. She looks at Christopher. Mr. Davis, you are Emma's biological father. That is a fact. But biology does not automatically confer parenthood. Parenthood is action, presence, love. And based on the evidence I've seen, the recordings, the school reports, the testimony, you have failed to act as Emma's parent. You have acted as a resentful stepfather, forced into a role you didn't want. Christopher's jaw tightens. Judge Morrison turns to me. Mr. Miller, you made a catastrophic mistake when you left. You hurt Emma deeply, but you've also taken responsibility for that mistake. And more importantly, Emma has forgiven you. She told me, and I'm quoting, he's the only person who made me feel like I've mattered. My throat closes. Judge Morrison picks up the card. This court recognizes that Thomas Miller, though not biologically related to Emma Rose Davis, served as her psychological parent for the first 6 years of her life. Under Washington state law, he has standing to petition for custody. And based on the evidence of instability and emotional harm in the current home, this court grants joint custody with primary physical custody to Thomas Miller, effective immediately. Rebecca gasps. Christopher slams his hand on the table. Judge Morrison raises her voice. Mr. Davis, you will be granted supervised visitation, pending completion of anger management courses. Mrs. Davis, you will have alternating weekends. This arrangement will be reviewed in 6 months. She bangs the gavel. Court adjourned. They bring Emma into the courtroom. She's holding Mr. Buttons, brown teddy bear, missing an eye, worn from 11 years of being loved. She sees me, and she runs. I catch her, hold her, and this time, I don't let go. You came back, she whispers. I never really left, sweetheart. I was just finding my way back. She pulls back, looks at me. Can I come home with you? Yes, today. Right now. Judge Morrison watches from the bench. She's not smiling, but her eyes are soft. Emma hugs me again. I knew you'd come. I knew it. Behind us, Rebecca is crying. Christopher storms out. Patricia watches from the back row, and I realize I didn't win revenge. I won something better. I won my daughter 3 weeks later. Emma and I are in my new apartment. 2 bedrooms, downtown Seattle. Big windows overlooking the water. Her room has purple walls, her choice. Posters of bands I've never heard of, a desk for homework, and on the fridge, taped with a magnet, is a new drawing, construction paper, purple crayon, 2 stick figures holding hands, one tall, one short. Above them, in Emma's handwriting, we don't leave. I'm making dinner. Spaghetti, Emma's favorite. She's at the table doing math homework, chewing on her pencil. Dad? Yeah? Why did you come back? I turn off the stove, sit down next to her. Do you remember your card, the one you sent me? She nods. You asked if I still had you, And I realized I never stopped having you. I just got scared. I thought because I wasn't your biological father, I didn't have the right to be your dad. But you taught me something. What? I point to the drawing on the fridge. You taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about showing up, fighting, staying. And I'm sorry it took me so long to understand that. Emma sets down her pencil. Mr. Chris isn't my dad. He never was. He's your biological father. I know, but that's not the same thing. She looks at me. You're my dad. You always were. I pull her into a hug, and I think about the night 5 years ago, driving away at 4 a.m., telling myself Emma would forget. She didn't forget. And neither did I. Because love, real love, doesn't have an expiration date. It doesn't check DNA tests. It doesn't care about biology. It just shows up. And it stays. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who fights, who stays. If you've ever had a found family moment, a teacher, a coach, a friend who became your real parent, share that story in the comments. Because maybe, just maybe, someone reading this needs to hear, you're not alone. And for those asking if I'd do it differently, no, because she's home now. And so am I. Share this story if it reminded you what love actually means. Emma finishes her homework. We eat spaghetti. She tells me about school, about her friends, about the science project she's working on. Normal things. Beautiful, boring, normal things. After dinner, she goes to her room. I hear her humming, drawing something new. I look at the fridge, at the 2 stick figures, at the words in purple crayon. We don't leave. And I realize Emma wasn't just asking me that question in her birthday card. She was answering it. 5 years later, through every missed school day, every fight between Rebecca and Christopher, every night she held Mr. Buttons and wondered where I was. She never left me either. She was waiting, and now we're both home.